What's going on, guys? I'm making to another video, and today is actually another ranking video, a ranking that I've been very excited to talk about. This is the first time I am ever doing a ranking of a director's entire filmography. You guys can probably already tell who we're talking about just from the title and the thumbnail, obviously, but with the release of Tenet, Christopher Nolan has now released 11 major feature films. Today I'm going to stop and rank all 11 of them from the worst to the best. Now, before I get into this, I'm just going to say up front really quick, this is my opinion. I'm not saying this is like the best of the best. This is the definitive list. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is my opinion. Tenet is very, very divisive. A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. So just because I may have Tenet higher up on the list or lower on the list than some people think, doesn't mean you have to come in and bash me in the comments. It is my opinion. I just want to get that out there. Let me know down below in the comments, what are your top, let's do 3. What are your top 3 Nolan movies? I mean, we're going to disagree. We are not going to all have the exact same list. So let's just be nice down in the comments. But another thing I want to say first off, if you are new, thanks so much for taking time to click on the video, like, comment, subscribing. Well, that means the absolute world. Thank you guys all for the support on my first episode of my new interview series called Favorite Movie and Why. I interviewed Chris from Film Stock this past Monday. You guys have been killing it over there. If you've not seen it, make sure you go check it out. It was a great conversation that I had with him. We'll have another one out next Monday. I will announce who I am interviewing in a few days. But I think without further ado, let's just kind of hop into it. So coming in number 11 is Following. This is his directorial debut. Very, very small budget indie film that he made in black and white with actors that no one knew who they were, and just a very subtle noir type film about a writer who wants to be a writer, who starts following people around and then gets caught up in this crime, caper, burglary thing. And look, it's a good movie. You can see Nolan in it. He is still trying to flesh out his directing style and what he wants to do, and you can tell it's very cheap. It's not cheap in like the quality. The quality is actually pretty good, but you can tell very small budget, not a lot of leeway, not a lot of room, and that's kind of why it's so low on the list. Now I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. This list was hard because I tend to believe that Nolan has never missed. He hasn't. Every movie's been from good to masterpiece level. And Following is good. It's not bad. It does what it set out to do. It is the first from Nolan, and it was him trying to find his voice and trying to find out what he wanted to do with directing. And I think this was a relatively good way to start. So, I gave it I gave it 3 stars out of 5. Again, not the best, but it's really not that bad for a starting, film from a first-time director who's never directed before. Coming in at number 10 is Batman Begins. Before you throw me into the pit that Bale threw Christian Bale down in The Dark Knight Rises, that Bane threw Christian Bale, before you throw me into that pit, look, from here on up, they are fantastic movies. All of them. I really enjoy every single one for what it is. And Batman Begins is no different. I really do like this origin story. I love Ra's al Ghul, Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, Christian Bale as Batman is fantastic, Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow. I mean, these are scary characters. And bringing in this type of realistic, gritty Batman that we had never seen before, really in comic book movies ever, like this was a revolution for comic book movies, and it was done very, very well. I'm not the biggest fan of Rachel. I don't think she was written very well. I don't think she was used very well. I think she was used way better in The Dark Knight. I know they recast it, so that may be why. But overall, the only reason it falls so short is for a few reasons. One, I saw this movie way later in my life. I saw it maybe a year ago. 2019 was the first time I'd ever seen it. So since then, we've had comic book movies that are like that. Back in 2005, when this first came out, people think this is the greatest thing ever because there has never been a comic book movie like this before, in the vein of how realistic it is, and gritty it is. Since then, since we have in 2019, we've seen movies like that before. And that's not, I'm not taking away from the film. I think it's a fantastic film. It really is. And I don't even know why I'm trying to defend myself right now, because this is just my opinion. But it's such a great film, and it's got great villains, and it's just great overall. But I just enjoyed some Nolan movies a little bit more. This one got 3.5 stars out of 5. Not bad. That is in the 80 range for ratings. That is in the 80 to 84 range. So guys, before you go into the comments, please be gentle. This is just my opinion. Batman Begins comes in at number 10 on my list. And coming in at number 9 is Insomnia, a movie that I feel is highly, highly underrated. This was the film that Nolan did after Memento to get him into the studio system, to show that he could do stuff with a bigger budget. He didn't write this film, so a lot of the issues people have is with the writing and all of that. He just directed the film. And overall, I don't have that many issues with the writing. I think Al Pacino's fantastic in this. I think Robin Williams is very, hauntingly, scary, just how his character is. And I think overall, the concept of time, we're going to talk about time a lot in this ranking, the concept of time, with there being no nighttime, so the insomnia kicks in with Al Pacino's character in particular, is it's so fascinating to watch him slowly become more insane, along with other character beats and plot points that I'm not going to divulge and get into because you guys have not seen this, which I'm assuming a lot of you have not. It's a highly underrated movie. That's some of the things I really enjoyed about it. It's directed really well. Again, there's some writing that's not great, but Nolan didn't write this film, so I can't really blame him for that. But still, overall, I really enjoyed it. I had a relatively good time with it. It comes in at number 9 on my list. Now, I also want to say, from 9 up, they are 4-star and higher. So that's B+ and higher. So Nolan's not missing here at all. His movies are all fantastic. Coming in at number 8 is Dunkirk, the film that he just did before Tenet, talking about obviously what happened on the beaches of Dunkirk in World War II. This film is an experience. It is. It's an experience. I'm sad I didn't see it in theaters. I watched it on my TV at home because it's something to be immersed in. It's shot beautifully. I think the action in this is stellar. And I think just, again, with the time, the way Christopher Nolan uses time, you're on the edge of your seat and you have so much suspense the entire time. And if you go into the history books, you already know what's going to happen. But even then, you're on the edge of your seat. And that I credit that a lot to Nolan and his direction. And overall, again, technically, it's a really great film. I think the one thing that kind of, knocks it down a little bit for me is there's no character. I'm not really I don't feel for one character. We follow a boy, we follow Tom Hardy's airplane pilot, and then we follow the people on the boat, and there's no character development. And I've heard a lot about this is that, you don't really need it because you're being immersed as you're one of the soldiers. And for that's why it is higher on my list than others, because it does that and it makes that feel really great. But in the end, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything. So a lot of it was a lot of spectacle and intensity because of the circumstances. So overall, it's a fantastic film. I'm not taking away from the film. It is fantastic. I adore it. And it comes in at number 8 on my list. 4 out of 5 stars. Coming in at number 7 is The Dark Knight Rises. This is actually the film that is not Tenet that I have seen most recently. This was the last one I did for my Nolan rewatch, was The Dark Knight Rises. And, there's something about just Bane, first off, that he's fantastic. Bale, I'm not the biggest fan of where they went with his character, but I get it, and I'll allow it to some point. I think it's shot really well. I tend to believe it's shot really well, and the ending 20 minutes is great. There's a lot of emotion involved, and the happiness to see that Bruce is still alive and he's living his life with Anne Hathaway. was great. And a lot of people are going to talk about plot holes and stuff like that. And you know, there's some things that people are griping about that I don't necessarily like agree with. They're like, well, how did Batman get back to Gotham after he went off with the bomb? He jumped out. He's got wings. He can glide. And then autopilot. But you know, I mean, those are all theories and stuff, so I'm not going to gripe a lot about that. But overall, I think it's a really satisfying conclusion to the Dark Knight trilogy. I would have loved to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Robin in like some sort of sequel or something. I know that's never going to happen, but I would have liked to see that. But overall, great way to end out the trilogy. I mean, you're not going to beat the Dark Knight, so having to follow up with the Dark Knight Rises, it was a very, very tough task, and I think overall it was executed well. It's not as bad as people say. I think it's probably going to be one of the most rewatchable movies of Nolan's because it's a very long runtime, but it actually kind of goes by pretty quickly. So I kind of like that. Oh, and the opening airplane sequence with Bane is amazing. And they did that practically, and it's great. Coming in at number 6, Dark Knight Rises got a 4 out of 5. Coming in at number 6 is Memento. This movie is trippy, and it's awesome. It is Nolan's second film, and it deals with a man whose wife was murdered, and he has short-term memory loss, so we are retracing his steps to figure out who murdered his wife and what happened with his wife. And this movie is genius in the fact of the way the story is told, the way you piece it together. If you were to go at it from the beginning to the end, it wouldn't make as much sense and it wouldn't be as satisfying as going at it backwards. And that is something that I think Nolan did so well. I think the screenplay was up for Best Original Screenplay. I think the way it was just executed and edited was so masterful. I mean, overall, this film is fantastic. Guy Pearce gives a great performance, and it's just a phenomenal movie. Why is it down at number 6, Jack? Tell me, why is it down at number 6? It's down at number 6 because the other movies I just enjoyed more. Honestly, that's really it. It's a fantastic movie. 6 up are hard. They are very hard to rank, and Memento is it's an epiphany for storytelling. It really is. I mean, people have done it before, but the way that Nolan was able to execute it and deliver it was absolutely fantastic. It got 4 out of 5 stars, and it comes in at number 6 on my list. Before I get into my top 5, let me know down below in the comments, what was your top 3? Do you agree with me? Do you not? All I ask is that you be kind, you be nice, don't be mean about it. And yeah, so coming in at number 5 is Interstellar. This is a beautiful, tragic movie with probably, I would argue, the best performance ever from Matthew McConaughey. It deals again with time, very interestingly. It is a beautiful space movie. I was on a space kick when I watched it, and I still think that it is amazing. And it's a very big story, but in the end, it comes down to a small thing. It is a father trying to get home to his daughter. And the ending, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but the ending tore my guts out. It made me, legitly tear up. I have not teared up in another Nolan movie. I got emotional at the end of this movie. I literally cried at the end of this movie. It killed me. Visually, it's stunning. The score is amazing. Again, Matthew McConaughey is amazing in this film. And it's just such a great movie. It's very, very long. I will say that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it is an emotionally draining gut punch of a movie that is executed phenomenally. Got 5 out of 5 stars, and it comes at number 5 on my list. The rest of these get 5 stars. So there you go. Coming in at number 4 is The Prestige. This movie, when I first watched this movie, I was absolutely blown away. Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, first off, give fantastic performances. The twist at the end is shocking. I couldn't figure out what was happening until it was literally handed to me on a silver platter at the end. The reveal, The Prestige. And when it happened, I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, it makes sense. This movie is underrated, I think. I think a lot more people are starting to come around to it, but it is a very, very underrated movie with fantastic performances. the way Nolan was able to take magic and magicians and make it very serious, dark, and gritty is amazing. First off, I was jazzed about that. Overall, fantastic performances. It was written really well. Like, I think this is probably one of Nolan's best. I don't know if he wrote this one. I could be wrong. If he did, though, it's one of Nolan's best written films, by far, bar none. And it blew me away. It really blew me away. Coming in at number 3. Is The Dark Knight. Before you say anything, like I said, 5 through 1 all get 5 stars. They do. And then if we get into actual point values, The Dark Knight got a 98. No, it may have gotten a 97. I think it might have actually gotten a 97. This is one of the best comic book movies of all time. It's, I believe, in my top 25 favorite movies of all time. There's no taking away from the fact that this is a brilliant movie. It really is. Heath Ledger's Joker is iconic, and it always will be. There will never be another. Never. Joaquin was fantastic, but Ledger is legendary. Making it a crime thriller instead of just some superhero movie is fantastic. Making it more about the law enforcement and the politicians, I actually kind of dug. Harvey Dent, Commissioner Gordon, and Joker are like the 3 mains in this, and I really liked that. Overall, it's a masterfully done movie. I mean, it is. Nolan kicked butt with this movie. Ledger's fantastic. I mean, Bale comes back, and it's not a lot of Batman in this movie. I didn't dig that, but that's okay though. I'll let it slide because I wanted all of that Joker. I really did. So look, these top 3 movies are some of my favorite movies of all time. So, just because this is at number 3, and a certain something is a little bit higher that some people really don't like, it's my opinion. That's all I'm going to say. Masterfully done movie. I believe it got a 97 out of 100. 5 out of 5 stars. And it comes in at number 3 on my list. Coming in at number 2 is Tenet. Inception didn't come in. Tenet's not my number 1. Everyone calm down. You guys have already seen me gush about it in my review. And I got some comments of people that didn't agree, and that's great. That's your opinion. Like, I respect everyone's opinion. For me personally, I dug the crap out of this movie. I love this movie. This movie is absolutely amazing. The action sequences are extravagant and just incredible. There is emotional punch in here with Elizabeth Debicki's character and how her and her son just want to get away from this crime arms dealer that is, I guess, a god that's going to end the world. That's the motivation for John David Washington and Robert Pattinson and them to do this, because one, they want to save the world, but they also want to help this woman and her son. The time inversion stuff's cool, is awesome. This is like one of the most visually stunning Nolan films. It's absolutely incredible. And the way everything ties up, a lot of people, are after one viewing saying they absolutely hate this because it makes no sense and all of this. First viewing, I got it. I got it, and I really loved it. I know Colin Williams, shout out, saw it a second time. He really didn't like it the first time. Saw it the second time. Now he loves it. If you guys don't like this movie, I would highly recommend giving it a second chance, because you're able to click, you're able to see more detail, and if you know where the plot is going, you'll be able to pick up on more stuff. And I saw it a second time and was able to do that, and it was even better the second time than it was the first. Is this a perfect movie? No. I think if we get down to the raw numbers, I think The Dark Knight got a 97, and I believe Tenet got a 98. Okay? So it's not a perfect movie, but it's really good, and I really enjoyed it. And it comes in at number 2 on my list. But with that being said, you guys already know what my number 1 is. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, and that is Inception. This movie is a masterpiece. This is Nolan's masterpiece. I will not say Tenet is a masterpiece. Inception is a masterpiece. You've got a great ensemble cast, great performances. You have awesome, it's written amazingly. You have great emotional punch with Leo's character wanting to get back to his kids, wanting to, you know, like just accept what happened with his wife. I mean, that's all amazing, as well as incredible visual effects. You know, practical effects like Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the rotating hallway was all done practically. It was absolutely amazing, and it's just directed phenomenally. It's written phenomenally. This is, I believe, a perfect movie. It's in the 100-point club. It got 100 out of 100. It got 5 stars. I will watch this movie a billion times for the rest of my life. It will never get old. I love it as much as I possibly can. I literally have the poster right there over my right shoulder. And this is just an absolutely incredible movie. And what Nolan did, what Nolan was able to do, changed movies. It changed the industry. And it was fantastic. But guys, that is pretty much it. Let me know down below in the comments, what did you think of my list? I mean, look, let's be respectful, but if you want to give your opinion, I'm more than happy to talk to you guys down in the comments. Give me your top 3 Nolan movies. What are your top 3 favorites? And guys, that is pretty much it. Make sure you go check out Favorite Movie and Why Episode 1 with Chris from Film Stock. Check out some other videos. They'll pop up on the screen right now. I trust YouTube to pick some videos for you guys. But guys, that's pretty much it. Have a rest of your day, and we'll see you